Welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 6. We are rolling, Segev.
We're already more than halfway.
Well, I don't want to make it more than halfway. Makes it sound like we just can't wait to get it done, and that's not the case. As a reminder, my friends, this is Knowledge Unbound, an interview podcast brought to you by the Science Education and Society program at FIU. We are generously funded by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, which funds the Rios Institute for Racially Just, Inclusive, Open STEM Education. We are joined, as we always are, by the incredible producer, Segeva Masai.
So, this week's guest, I took some time to listen to this episode.
This is the first time you took time to listen to an episode.
Oh, really? Well, ignoring that for now, I will say that he is a very eloquent man.
Tim Eatman is a special guy, and I really think you all will enjoy this week. And Tim Eatman, Dr. Eatman, is the Dean of the Honors Living Learning Community at Rutgers University in Newark, New Jersey. We cover a lot of ground. They have a very interesting model on how they recruit students, how they support students, how they think about education and the role that an equity-minded approach plays in just helping our democracy writ large. He's a storyteller. He speaks from the heart. He speaks off the cuff, but he's very clear and direct in how he thinks about his work. And we were going to record what we were about to record, and we were just doing a song check. And this brother just as a song check just spits off a verse of I Dream a World, the Langston Hughes poem, and it was just so beautiful. We just captured that. We didn't capture every second of it, but we captured some of it. So today we'll just give you a special treat by starting off with a clip of his recitation, and then we'll get into the interview. So I'm looking forward to you having this experience. Welcome to Knowledge Unbound.
A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounty of the earth and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head and joy like a pearl attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world.
As you know by now, my style is I'm not going to read off people's CV, right? Because this is not
great.
This is not that kind of thing where I need to give you their street cred
Awesome.
to make it, so that you think they're worth hearing.
Awesome.
You will see in this hour why this brother is worth listening to. So I want Tim to tell the story. Tim, welcome.
Man, welcome is received and appreciated. I guess we were on a panel a few years ago, and I hope it's okay to say it. I just fell in love. I said,
I think
that's
it's
my
all right.
brother.
My wife only listens to every other episode. So
Oh, okay. Okay. No, man, it was really, the resonance was powerful. I was talking about shrinking imagination, and I saw you shifting your seat.
Yeah.
And our subsequent conversations during that time have been great.
Right.
I have to tell you, I know it's a podcast, but I'm a little distracted by your sock game, brother.
Yeah. We'll put a picture on the website.
Okay, you got to do it. The sock game is tight, y'all. I got to let you know
what you're referring
Dr.
to.
Dewsbury.
I want to shout out my sister, Shelly Ann Dewsbury, who is the primary wardrobe designer for my sock game.
Well, send me her link. Thank you, man, for your
Well, let's actually start with that. And we're going to get to the honors college in a second, because I do want people to know what that college is about, why it means so much to the field of education. But that panel we were on together and how we connected in that, I just want to tell you, part of it for me is there's an element of this practice that I do, when I teach and, when I give speeches, run workshops, that quite frankly, I pick and choose how to share with people 100%. What motivates that, right? And as you know, I come from the STEM world, and so much of it is learning outcomes and evidence. And I'm not trying to be dismissive of that, right? But I grew up in a griot tradition, right? I grew up in
Let's tell the stories,
in
boss.
a place where things come from inside you,
Sure.
and you don't need to feel compelled to explain what you're feeling, but you transmit that, and you trust that your audience will feel that. I will confess, without trying to be too critical of what I've seen out there, that there are very few times when I've seen speakers bring that same energy, right? And that's what I felt when you saw me, right? So I really appreciate that you saw that. Tell us about the Honors College, right? And I know there's a lot to talk about, but if, let's say, you had to give a 2, 3, 4 sentence summary of what the Honors College is about, why it matters, why that approach matters, what would it be?
Well, brother, let me begin by just sharing a bit of a context. So, Rutgers University Newark has an honors enterprise. We have an honors college that was founded in the 70s, but the honors living learning community that I am the inaugural dean of is a part of the enterprise. It's a second entity, yes. And so there are some differences, like the honors college is not residential.
Right.
The honors living learning community actually is a residential program. In fact, the merit scholarship that students receive when they are competitively accepted into the honors living learning community is the scholarship for room and board. Now, some of my scholars are also in the honors college.
Okay.
Right. So I just wanted to lay
Make
that out.
Make that distinction.
And we collaborate deeply together. In fact, I was just looking at my phone. I just got a text from Anya Dillard, one of our students who's in the honors college and the honors living learning community, reminding me that I need to respond to her about a meeting. Amazing social justice focused young scholar, and I name her and I shout her out in this context because of the example that students like her provide for the vision. The idea of the honors living learning community is that if we want a strong democracy, then we need to use some of the most compelling tools and mechanisms in our box to underscore the importance of the kind of society we need. What does this mean? Well, students that want to be positive change makers,
Right.
Students that are serious about the life of the mind, but the life of community, deserve support.
Right.
And, as a social scientist, we share this, I mean, the variance that gets explained, on, from standardized tests really shows more about family wealth than anything else.
Right.
And so is honors really honors as we have defined it? Well, we're trying to revolutionize honors. We're trying to cultivate talent, and we're trying to engage communities. And so in that process, we're saying, what will it take for us to reimagine something like honors? Right. And so we've seen, Drew, a 80% increase of Newark residents who are enrolled at Rutgers University Newark. And the honors living learning community has contributed to that. Okay. Because we're saying, hey, you got into this school, Duke and Michigan and Syracuse, but you want to stay in your community. You're first gen. You're from immigrant roots. You're a returning citizen, and you really are focused on making Newark a better place. We want to get behind you. Yeah. So in short, that's kind of what the vision is. It came out of the strategic plan of our amazing chancellor, who Nancy Cantor, and it was my honor to follow her from Syracuse University to begin that work.
I will get into some of the unique processes in a second, but I want to circle back to something you said about if we want a thriving democracy. Right. Because much of the rhetoric we hear today, as you know, around, when people hear words like social justice, when you hear people hear words like equity, inclusion, is this narrative of, reverse discrimination, this narrative of sort of picking one group, right? And I guess it's really hurt me in the sense that it's actually the country we care about. We do this because we care about the country. We care about the democratic experiment getting
Yeah.
better and better, right?
yeah.
And to an extent where I feel even equity practitioners don't fully understand that argument. And I'm wondering, is there a role for the way in which you articulated that? Is there a role to play in informing the national conversation on why social justice projects like these really matter?
I would say so. I mean, I think we're not doing our job if we're not finding ourselves in, spaces where we're making the case for these kinds of models. In fact, Chancellor Cantor's invitation to me was, let's build a model, right? And so, this, Doc. I've had the good fortune of serving in, several national positions. I guess, they need to fill out the bottom roster or whatever. But it's been my blessing in that space to carry these sorts of messages. So when we were at AACNU's GEPA conference, as you recall, I talked about the emphasis and vision of the Honors Living Learning Community. Now, as chair of the board of AACNU, it's my pleasure to be able to be in a whole bunch of different spaces with a lot of institutional leaders. I think there are 14 sitting college presidents on our board. It's an honor to lead that board. But talking with them about their efforts around honors and how it gestures towards leading democracy and the sort of ameliorative change that we need. And so, I spend probably more time than I have or should carrying that message and trying to make a case for it. But I think the case really happens as people are able to see and feel the impact of the students, right? One of the reasons I resisted, Dr. Dewsbury, the invitation to move into the deanship is because I like students too much. I mean, if you look at my calendar, and my calendar,
I know.
I have meeting with students every day, an hour. I mean, good time,
Right.
because they deserve that. Number one, and because they have so much to teach us.
Right. It grounds you.
It grounds you.
you.
They have so much to teach us about the thinking that we are using right now that may seem strategic. I'm almost 100, but for the current edge, the current time. And so, I think that unless we're doing that kind of case-making work, unless we're investing in the student in a real way where they know, all right, I'm going to say it and I may get ejected, where they know you love them.
I mean, I don't, I just recently finished Bell Hooks Is All About Love. That's just
I
not
read
a
it
word.
every 2 years.
That is not a word I shy away from, brother. It's not a word I shy away
I
from.
read that every,
Man,
what a powerful way of nuancing. I even think about, you heard me say it as we opened up. I fell in love with the brother, right? No, right.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it in that Hooksian, I don't know, that Hooksian way.
I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those relationships with the students, my heart is heavy right now, man. I got a call New Year's Day, man. One of my scholars was in a car accident, man. I won't say her name, but she's had several surgeries. They're not sure that she's going to have sight in one of her eyes.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with her and her mother. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, daughter, I love you.
It's a relationship.
Come on,
right?
man.
It's not just. So tell us a little bit, because I think the audience would really understand this better, not just from your own spirit, your own soul, and what you bring to it, but you have a process.
Oh, no doubt.
You have a process. Talk to me about that process. How they come in, what they do when they're there. Like, how are you doing this redefining?
Yeah.
I really want people to hear that.
Yeah, well said. Well, in order to appropriately address that, I have to name not only Chancellor Nancy Cantor, but also her former executive vice chancellor, Shirley Collado, who you may know. Shirley Collado left Rutgers Newark to then become president of Ithaca College. I think she was the first Latin American woman to lead Ithaca College, and then now she's the president of the foundation. But she really helped to nuance and work through the development of the design and got people on board prior to my engagement, like the eminently qualified Associate Dean Marta Escalin, my right hand, and Marta came out of the Posse Foundation and is a master facilitator and really was the architect. She had assistants, but was the architect of this interview process. So the question is, okay, if we're not looking at standardized tests to admit students, what is the process? Well, what Marta and the team of folks that she kind of led, really pivots on some of the approaches out of the Posse Foundation, which is, to bring groups together. So what we do, next week we'll have a large group interview, Doc. And in the large group interview, there'll be 150 students. And it's a 3-hour, let me make sure it's clear that I'm saying 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour process. And it requires an army of evaluators because if you got 150 students, you're not going to be able to look at them all with a staff of 6 like I have, right? So we recruit community partners. We recruit folks from the chancellor's office, faculty. There's a woman, brother, in dining services that will fight you if you don't let her be part of that evaluation process, right? This idea of the community coming together to select these 80 students.
Right,
that
because even in who's doing the evaluation, a message is being sent that the whole community is, you're coming into a broader network, as opposed to what most people might think when they think honors is only honors people get to pick honors people get, and then because you're only going to be with honors people, right?
Man, you hit the nail on the head, and I had to tell you, one of the things that I was struck by is the fact that our community officers, our campus police, and security officers participate as evaluators. And this will give me a chance to sneak in a little bit more about how we're constituted. So, we have cohorts of 80. 50 of them are coming right out of high school, 17, 18-year-olds. But 30 of them are coming out of community colleges or transfer. And among that group, we got, parents. We got folks that have aged out of the foster care system. We got folks that are older.
Who are incarcerated?
Returning citizens, those who've overcome the school to prison pipeline, as my Mayor Raz Baraka says. Yes, incarcerated.
Yeah.
I mean, I have, Drew, I can call the names of at least 7 formerly incarcerated students, returning citizens from we've graduated so far, at least 3 of which had spent 30 years. But they wouldn't have went if there was a governor's niece. Right? Do you follow what I mean? The reason I kind of used that opportunity to talk about our composition is because sometimes we have security guards who serve as evaluators. But they know the students when they get in. And my scholars help me to see that just the fact that they met the security guard in the interview means that as they come into the campus space, right, it's not this, oh, okay, yeah, we know where you coming from, what your story is. Right? And to me, that's a kind of a beautiful thing. And you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the extent to which the community gets invited to create something together. I mean, the third piece of that mantra, revolutionizing honors, cultivating talent, engaging communities, is literally about that, not only with the evaluators, but with our community partners like in the Unbound Community Corporation or the Newark Museum or the Newark Public Library or the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, and on and on and on, where we have significant engagement among our scholars who recognize that knowledge doesn't live at Rutgers Newark.
Nope.
There is some knowledge.
3 credits of whatever.
Come on, man.
No, man.
There is some knowledge there. Listen, I'm proud of the fact that, my education has positioned me in a strong way to be able to rigorously understand how to organize and analyze data. Talk about the sock game. My sock game is not as good as yours. But my socks roll up and down
Right.
when I can explain variance on the dependent variable.
Right,
That's what they
right,
taught me at
right,
Illinois, right? But knowledge doesn't just live there. And so even as we're doing a project on reparations right now, right? We're having dialogues with community, partners throughout the city, community organizations. Our students are engaged in facilitating some of those dialogues. And they go into the New Jersey Historical Society. And, hey, brother, they have assembled a database of 172 formerly enslaved Black Americans who were in Newark. People forget New Jersey was the last northern slaveholding state. We have a database of slavers and formerly enslaved ancestors. So what are we doing with that? We're saying, okay, you scholars, and you've given me another invitation to just celebrate the holistic approach here, right? How do we humanize these people that we've discovered from these clips on runaway slaves?
Right.
Okay, and so we give it to the Newark artists, and they have developed skits and songs and illustrations and pictures to honor, right? And our students see this up close.
It's like a modern day Negro spiritual. I don't want to assume it's Negroes actually writing these songs, but you get my point.
That is the
so
spirit
the
and
word
the
that
ethos.
comes to mind as you describe all of this is authentic.
Yes, sir.
And I remember I read an article, I think in New York Times, about the process about the school, and there was one of your students had commented that initially they were concerned that the use of the word scholars was sort of gimmicky, right? To make them
Right.
feel like,
Right.
okay, we get it. If we call you a scholar, you might feel like a scholar. But they were saying, nah, man, like once I'm in, like this is really family. Like this is not what I thought school was. So you have this really unique, in-depth process together. And once they're in, talk to me about this curriculum. I believe they have to have a social justice minor.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what happens as part of this LLC.
I just really quickly, Marta Escalin, Engelbert Santana, apologies for not being able to give a more full description of this interview process. I just gestured to one half of it. The other half is a face-to-face interview. About 60% of our students who participate in that large group interview come back. And then it's a one-to-one.
Okay.
And
I should have let you finish.
No. I need to be more concise in my communication. But it's a big deal. It's a big process, and we have a rubric that So what'll happen is from the large group interview, we'll do some activities with everyone, but then we'll break the students up into groups of 8 or 10. And you know what, Adam Bush, who I think was a recent,
Yes, he's a recent guest, yeah.
Yeah, he's a recent guest of yours, brings 5 of his staff members from Rhode Island
Okay.
to serve as evaluators.
Okay.
Right? Because College Unbound and Rutgers University, Newark's Honors Living Learning Community are really of the same spirit, of the same mind. The rubric is shared with our evaluators. I wish you would come and be an evaluator, right?
Hit me up.
Yeah, we do
me up.
two evaluators to a set of 8, and then you can watch the students as they have conversations, and you can hear their analyses, and you can find the ones that actually are pretty cool, but probably wouldn't be good to live with.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, some people are, that's not their jam. You know what I'm saying? But also, we have an activity where they build a community together and they have a budget.
Right.
And so do you include a store, or do you include the empty lot? And what's the discourses around that? So that's what happens in the large group interview, shorthand. And then about 60% of those come back to the one-to-one. The one-to-one gives us a chance to just be sure that, folks are college ready. Because we're not bringing nobody in who's not college ready. That would be irresponsible, right? In fact, there have been some cases, especially since we work so closely with, community colleges, that students will do well on our rubric, but we say, no, you probably need to go to community college. And when you come out on the other side, do you follow what I mean?
Right.
But that gives us a chance to ask them about their transcript. Hey, I noticed that you had, A's and B's year 1 in high school, and in year 2 you had these B's and C's. Oh yeah, my mother had cancer.
Right.
We moved 8 times. I'm not making this up.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
we moved 8 times.
And it does.
I was
It does
homeless.
It does two things to me, at least from what I'm hearing. Is one, a lot of when people think interviews, they think of it as an individual experience, right? And so what happens as a result of that is you're effectively branding yourself
Yeah.
in competition with others. And the results of the process means that this particular brand won, right?
Wow.
Right.
Well
And so
said.
it privileges that
Yeah.
model, right? The second thing is it lifts the value of the importance of discourse around matters that are important.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that is kind of factoring in to what we expect of you. Oh, and the third thing it was going to slip my mind is even when you say they're not college ready, is not necessarily a bad thing. It's
Right.
not saying you're a bad person,
Exactly.
you're not good enough.
Exactly.
It's saying like,
Exactly.
we're not ready for this fit right now.
Let's get you in
But let's
gear.
talk to you
Let's
about
get
what that could
behind
look
you.
like in a few years, and that's a different way of
It's a
you're rejected, right?
Man, how many
know.
times have I gotten emails from students who said, I might not get in. I just thank you for letting me tell my story.
Right.
For receiving
Right.
me not just a
Right.
number as on a standardized test.
Right.
For seeing me. And
Right.
here's the deal, right? We only get cohorts of 80.
Yeah.
Again, 50 first year, 17, 18-year-olds, 30 community college, transfers, another college. But there's some 700, 800 other students who are part of that process, many of whom still come to Rutgers. Now the admissions department knows them better because
Right.
they participated in
Right,
that, right?
right.
And listen, I see students on the street. One of the things I pride myself, even though I'm almost 100, I pride myself in learning.
Just so you'll know he's not almost. You look at his picture on the website.
If they
he's
see
not
all his white
100,
hair.
all right? Nah. We're not doing that.
It's just that I'm subconscious about it, brother. But, I learned every one of my students' names. And I'm not trying to be cute.
Right.
I'm not trying to be cute, man. I'm trying to let them know that I see them, man. And I love them. And I need them. And, you go to college and somebody can't call your name? Come on, man. Now, listen.
And I not just call their name because I do notice that at least when you were saying somebody's Spanish name, you were saying it
Yes, sir.
in the correct
Come on, man.
enunciation.
Well, my queen is from Colombia anyway, but yeah.
So I
got to sleep at home at night.
You're gonna get checked on that no matter what, right? But
Right, no.
but
But it's respect, man.
I this may be a small thing, but it actually does frustrate me in academic circles when I go to conferences, meetings, and I might butcher your name. Well, don't like learn the name and at least try to say it correctly, before you say it publicly. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an immigrant too, and my first name is Brian, which is not that hard, but it to me just says something to me that you took the time to call me correctly.
Man, she's not an HLC scholar, but one of my scholar daughters out of Georgetown, told me a story about when she was othered that way. And somebody said to her, if I recall correctly, that name is too hard. Aranza is her name,
Yeah.
And that name is too... Really?
Yeah.
Are you that dumb?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Forgive me.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to be
no,
cool.
No, I don't say it, man. I know we're going down a rabbit hole here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's
critical.
important because I was I remember a sophomore year chemistry class at Moore. I was another Ethiopian friend, and
Right.
it's all semester. And my other friends was like, his name is not that hard. It's not that hard.
It's
If
not that hard.
Just
You can do it.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like really, if we are sophomores,
in
could
chemistry.
figure this out. You with the PhD, I think will be all right. So
yeah.
anyway, let me circle back to the process because
Yes.
I know that there's just so much beauty in the community engagement and how that's centered
Yeah.
in what these students experience as part of the LLC. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I'll trail off from the face-to-face interview, right? Because again, it gives us a chance to ask them, what does your transcript tell us about you? right? And that there's some fascinating stories that come out of that. Just amazing. And it really helps situate us for preparing to receive them. Do you know what I mean? The decisions on the final 80 per year, they're hard decisions because we don't. The last thing we want to do is be like this, kind of special thing is exclusive, even though my students are special, right? And in fact, that's why I told you some of the students that go through the process but still end up on campus, I embrace them, right? I'm like, I may be the dean of the Honors Living Learning Community, but I'm a professor of Rutgers University Newark. So you're my student, even though you get an HLOC program.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And it's interesting sometimes, and this is sad to say, but it's reality. There are students that come into the HLOC that really haven't matured to the level to really understand how to even receive that. So in some cases, I'm engaged more with students that are not a lot, who are not in the HLOC formally, and those that are have whatever it takes to take seriously that we're there for them. It's amazing that oftentimes it's not until after students graduate that they get a real important sense of why this really is something that they should take advantage of. And everyone has their own developmental process, but those students go into a 3-core course curriculum and a set of electives and a capstone, which comprise 18 credits, which is the social justice minor. So being an HLOC scholar, an Honors Living Learning Community scholar, means that you will take that 18 credit minor. The 3 core courses are 1, local citizenship in a global world, navigating spaces, places, and identities, and voice, citizenship, and community engagement. And among those 3 courses, you get a survey of, social justice meaning and definition, but not only theory, but examples. We bring in former students who have, been involved in different sorts of work and community partners. We're working on issues like reparations now, so we have a panel on that. We brought in folks from the forum on education abroad to talk with them about the importance. I got students right now in Italy. I think I have some in Singapore, in India. I mean, we're really trying to use those core courses as a way to launch them into an expansion of awareness of, not only their own, hang-ups, but their own competencies and their abilities to, to develop their leadership skills and that kind of thing, helping them to get more in tune with the place of Newark and its important leaders that have come out of the community. I mean, there are many, many important leaders that have come out of Newark, and, things like the rebellion, that sometimes people don't understand or not, maybe not haven't remember. Or don't remember or haven't been taught well. So we use those
or
3
at all.
Or at all. You're right. Yeah. We use those 3 core courses to kind of set the table for them. And then, man, they go and they translate that into student programs, student organizations. They connect. Right now, the student government president and the vice president of Rutgers Newark are HLOC scholars. I mean, they just take over. You know what I mean? But they have the kind of support and encouragement that situates them as they're navigating their majors. And they may have majors in neuroscience or biology or criminal justice or sociology or whatever, but their minor degree, and some have 2 minors, but their responsibility is to navigate the 18 credits for HLOC, which is a social justice minor. Okay. I tried to be as concise as I could with that.
No, I get it. I mean, if we went into all the weeds, we'd be here for a few hours. But I think what you just said is pretty clear that what they're experiencing is not what a lot of people think of when they think of a college curriculum, right? Yeah. And I guess for me, it's really the community piece is so important.
It is.
A lot of times we bring students on campus and basically close them off from the physical environment around them, which is unfortunate.
Can I slip one?
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, slip,
Because
slip.
it's gonna be today's Thursday or Friday.
Thursday.
All right, tonight we're gonna have something called the Healing Sounds of Newark. Yeah, and this will give me a chance to talk a little bit about why, if I define our curriculum, it's grounded in the pedagogies, the humanities, and the arts. Our students have, over the years, cultivated a flow, is what they call it, where they bring spoken word poets and hip hop artists and movement folks, and folks who do monologues and poetry from among the HLLC student body, as well as the campus community, as well as the Newark community, together at our jazz club on campus.
All right.
Called Clement's Place, in honor of Clement A. Price, the late luminary.
Right.
And it really is a jazz club in Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hall on Rutgers campus. Beautiful wood-lined, state-of-the-art space for performance. And our students curate that space. There'll be one tonight. And they use that, the arts and the humanities, as a way to celebrate the holisticness of their experience, right?
Right.
I have a daughter who's an MD, PhD candidate, and I won't embarrass the school, but as an undergrad, they told her, you can't do, science and be a dance minor. And they didn't mean any harm, because it's hard.
Well, I will be honest with you. If I can go back in time, I would still do biology at the graduate level, and still do science. I do love science and generally love teaching it. But if I had known it was possible, I would have been an English major.
And she said, I cannot.
My audience knows I went to Morehouse College. I love my alumni, my alma mater. The classes that moved me the most were my English classes. Dr. Jocelyn Jackson.
I know
reading,
these people.
Reading Long Walk to Freedom. Reading
Mandela.
Ralph Ellison.
Yes, sir.
Like, and in ways that, because you talk about, your program is being grounded in the humanities and the arts.
Yes, sir.
But
That's
what people need to understand is, you're not saying that they're majoring in the humanities and the arts. It's grounded in that. So whatever you major in, right? The ability to look into your soul, the ability to feel, to express, to sing, to speak, to dance, to move, to live in this world in unfettered, right? Like, that is agnostic to whatever you leave with on that piece of paper.
And that's why she said,
to lean. It's okay to lean.
I cannot breathe if I can't dance. Right?
Right.
And really serve them notice that, look, you got to receive me. And I'll just, again, both my daughters went to Spelman. I'll just name the school. Spelman got all my money. You know what I'm saying? And I love the experience, right? And, especially, I'm a Howard grad. I did my master's work at Howard. HBCUs especially have to be really careful about how do we, invest in a way that will show the return, especially because they're under threat, and so there are good reasons for that. Do you know what I mean? But I'm telling you, the fact that my daughters had that Spelman experience where they were able to, even though they were in the sciences, have classes with Beverly Guy Sheftall and all of the amazing luminaries, Cynthia Spence and others that are there is really powerful. But I name this, brother, because I think one of the violent things of American higher education is that we bracket out those aspects of our humanity and, center in on this, a fetishization of
stuff. It's just,
and we wonder why people depressed. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Well, let me use that to get into you a little bit. because
I'm scared.
This is don't be. You know not to be.
All right.
Because I guess this is where, and I actually like that you use the word violence.
It's
because,
violence, man.
I'm a first generation college student. And one of the things with being first generation is at least for me, you don't know that you were. You don't know it was a thing. You just right. You were in this space, and thank God to Morehouse they gave me a free ride, so I knew I had 4 years to get my stuff
had to
together and get it done. And one of the things my parents really gave to me as a special gift that I think I only really appreciated as an adult is this mantra of don't let anybody else make decisions for you.
Sir.
The decisions you make must align with your values. All right, that's whether it's your major, your school, your job, your partner, whatever it is. So I think that this notion of going into a class and somehow, and I'm going to a class as a student or as a professor, and just somehow shelving who Brian is at the door, so I can fit into whatever you are dictating I should fit into. It rankled me always, right? And I again, this is not something I actually talk about a lot because I maybe partly I think it took years to fully articulate what I was feeling.
Yeah.
But also I didn't understand even why it was being done, right? Like, why aren't you trying to find out what value I bring, right? All spaces, right? That can make this experience even that much more enriching. And so, we use the word inclusive teaching and equity-minded teaching and stuff, and I'm fine with the terms, but honestly, when I think about it, it's deeper than that, right? And so I want you, if you don't mind, to tell me a little bit about Tim and where in your journey did that spirit speak to you in ways that is impacting and informing what you're doing right now?
Wow. Yeah. In order to do that, I have to be a little bit more vulnerable than sometimes I'm comfortable with, and
I'm okay with that.
It
if
is,
you are,
it is what it is. I'm becoming more comfortable in my own skin around those issues, and I think actually the leadership that I've been able to exercise with the I keep saying imagining America because I used to.
I know that was your
in the
part
leadership.
before, yeah.
And it was a significant place for me. It is still. It's now headquartered at UC Davis, founded at Michigan, moved to Syracuse, and focused on the public scholarship and the humanities and the arts with Erica Cole-Arenas, our current director. But taught me that for all that I learned about, positivistic research and explaining the variance, that's just a skeleton, boss. And you need the skeleton. But what about the organs and the sinew and the muscle and the qualitative analysis and the narrative? That's what brings that on.
The blood that flows through.
The blood. And so, in our courses, and I'm getting to your point about Tim, but in our courses, one of the things we emphasize is creativity. When you walk in our building, I can't wait for you to come visit our brand new state-of-the-art $80 million building. When you walk in the building, you will see a mural that started as an assignment from one of our students. I wish I could show it to your audience on the podcast.
Send me a image. And
I will send it to you.
We have like a curated website for each of these episodes, so I definitely want people to engage in that, even if it's digital.
Yeah, but Vivian Peralta, who's now a PhD candidate at Texas A&M in biosciences, man, she studies something about the insects and the reproduction, man. I don't know what she studied.
She probably told you 100 times.
She probably did. I even wrote the NIH. She just got the NIH graduate student thing last year. Vivian Peralta, a sister from first gen, English as second language, Dominican sister. I'll weep if I think too hard about how beautiful she is. Spoken word artist, right? Visual artist. Her print is right in the lobby of our building. And when your audience gets to see it, you'll see that she draws herself. If you know her, you know it's her. Hair tied back, Latina sister. hair tied back, and she's drawing the balance of justice, and it's imbalanced. And on the one side, you got money and cash. And the other side, you got community. And the people are trying to balance it.
Trying
and
to
she,
figure out.
and she got them climbing up her back to get to the balance of justice. And Lady Justice is holding the balance of justice on the head of a man of color. And on one side of the wall, she's got a brother who's got cuffs on his arm because he's trying to contribute to the balancing, but in untoward ways that got him caught up in the system. On the other side of the wall, she's got a sister who's holding a book that's got history spelled backwards on it because there's a dwarfed Uncle Sam whispering lies into the ear of Lady Justice who's weeping. It's a bad piece, brother. This was from an assignment from I think she was a biology major. I forget what, it was a science, natural science. And I said, scholar daughter, I call them scholar daughter, scholar son, scholar family for the non-binary. I said, scholar daughter, I said, how long did it take you to do this? She said, well, she calculated probably about 50 hours.
Damn.
I said, well, how long did it take you to do the research paper for the class? She said, Dean, I did that really in a couple nights. I said, daughter, you know you're an artist. I'm not an artist. You wait till you see it. I said, you're not an artist? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Brother, we have that print in the lobby, and then we hired a muralist to be in conversation with it. So it's expanded.
Right.
Woo! Powerful stuff. But you see, things like that have helped me to believe in my own self. Now, you and I share a number of things, and I don't know what you've shared with your audience, but I know the life of the spirit is important to you, and also education has been critical. I'm a preacher's son, and I'm a pianist.
As am I.
Okay, right.
Not the piano. Well, actually, I trained for like 10 or 12 years doing piano.
Okay.
I stopped around 16.
Okay.
And, but I am a PK as you.
Okay. I learned to perfect my, and I have an excellent ear. I can play anything that you sing, right? And I was really cultivated in that tradition of the Black church, which really invites kind of organic creativity. I mean, even you're a PK, so you know, even when it gets hot, that energy calls for the punctuation of the voiced word with. Right. I won't go there.
And go there a tiny bit, just because the communication piece of that.
Yeah.
Right. And again, maybe this is just my 44-old brain speaking in the sense that you get to a point in life where you can look back and understand your life experiences with a new lens.
Oh man, no doubt.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
When I'm growing up in the Baptist church in Trinidad, I'm not thinking that the use of the term pastor and pastoral ministry being kind of a shepherd taking care of sheep and this being one with the community and communing through music and having the spirit move. Like I would have never imagined that moment. Like infecting the way I approach my classroom, right? Yeah. But it did.
It did.
It did.
It did. And brother, I have embraced in the last maybe decade the manifestations of those things that I learned right there in that church, right? How critical it is to be able to use. I don't want to diminish it by calling it performance because I don't have a good word for it. But it's like you taking seriously, what the content is, and so that there's a reverence that you bring to the verve that you present as you share it. Right. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They call Brian at any time,
right.
You've prepared or not, to be a part of it. Well, this is how it was for me in music. I remember, I learned how to play the clarinet in public school, and they said, "Oh, you can play music? Play the piano." And I'm like, that's a horn.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what? They believed that I could play the piano, brother. You follow me?
Yeah.
And listen, this past semester, I brought my keyboard into the classroom.
Right.
You asked me any one of my students, and I sung to them a song that I had written for my youngest daughter, Jamila Grace. And man, like they're like, wait a second, you're a dean, you're a PhD, right?
Well, but that is it right there, right? Why? And it's not. I'm not criticizing the students, but this notion that you are X and Y, so therefore you can't be Z. You can't. You can't lean into. You can't bring a keyboard to class.
I sure did.
You're the dean,
right?
right?
That's right. I'm the dean. One of my favorite meetings at the end of the term was students who outed herself. She said, "Dean, I'm a songwriter too." I said, "Come to my office at 3:30." And we sat out there. She knows who I am. The three of us, we sat there and we played. And I, I mean, I don't get to play often. You know what I mean? But it's those kinds of things that help me, Dr. Dewsbury, reaffirm, my own identity. And the aspects of that identity that I have fought with to keep at bay, so that I could show up a certain way in the academy. Your listeners can't see me, but I've got dreadlocks, right? And there's a whole story around why I even use those. So I embrace that presentation because of the message that I want to send about who I understand myself to be in the academy.
Tell me,
and the authenticity of that. Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit more about that fight.
Oh my God. So the problem is,
and the reason why I'm asking, it's not really kind of to put you in the spot per se, but I know and there are a lot of our students are still fighting.
Yeah.
There are a lot of our colleagues still fighting.
Yeah.
And it's not to make any one of us a hero or anything, but to the extent that there's value in that story being told and somebody hearing that and saying, oh, this is not just me. And this is, more importantly, a fight I either can win or a fight I don't have to have.
Yeah. Or I can decide when I'm going to have it. Because I had to be honest, man. I mean, I made some strategic decisions about when I was going to do what. And when your sense of self is hanging in the balance, and you also have mouths to feed, and and
boy,
you have models. Look, she'll be mad at me, but my youngest daughter is a PhD program in molecular engineering. It's the mother side. You understand what I'm saying? And she wants to be a professor.
Yeah.
But she has watched me traverse, as I imagine your children are, those decisions around, how our colleagues are, man. I mean, I've had folk tell me to earn tenure here, you got to neglect your family. To my black face. To my black face.
Damn.
No, dead up. And I'm like, word? I'm not going to be doing that, right? And, I think it requires, as you have pointed to, a certain kind of temerity that says, and for me, it's consistent with my faith practice.
Right.
I'm going to be who I am.
Right.
And I'm going to express myself in the way that I do, even though I know some folks look at me when I'm playing and singing and say, oh, there's the performing Negro. Which puts me at war with myself, because that's my love language. And I got to eclipse what I am.
Right.
I mean, my mentor, Julie Ellison, just retired down at University of Michigan. And I went to her retirement party maybe 2 months ago, and at Museum of Modern Art, very beautiful place lined with marble and very distinguished colleagues all around. Excuse me. I sang her a song that I wrote for her right there at University of Michigan called The Word Lady. It was a little tough to do, right? Because I know people are like, oh, that's beneath us.
Right.
But guess what? I love that lady, that mentor, that white lady. I wanted to honor her out of my soul, right? And so I wrote that song, The Word Lady. My chancellor, I wrote her a song when she left Syracuse. Like that's who I am, boss.
Right.
And so working with my students really is helping me to do more of like embracing who I am and taking me back to those roots that you mentioned of. And I think that that's a process that I'm gonna need to be a part of my whole experience, because we've made some gains, man, but we've got so far to go. Dr. Dewsbury, I'm gonna tell you a story, man, that you can feel as a parent, man. I was talking to my younger daughter, man, a couple of months ago about an experience she had right in graduate school, you know? She's at this, very elite place, and she walks out of the bathroom, and a lady walks in and screams, "Ah!" Grabs her stuff. My daughter looked like she's about 12 years old.
We'll make sure and leave that comment in. But
this place is a place that's guarded with police. You can't just walk up in this place. But all that woman was doing was giving indication of what her grandmother taught her about black and brown people. But the conversation that I had with my daughter began with, "Papa, do I make the place scary?" Now she got the challenge of the rigor of her deep, natural science work, and right,
she has an extra curriculum.
She has an extra curriculum. But part of what I can do as a papa, as a mentor, is make sure that I live out who I am without bracketing out those pieces that keep me sane, right?
Yeah.
And so now she's, doing more of her, she runs and she bakes, you know what I mean? Like the artistic stuff to sort of keep us whole and connected, which is antithetical to so many of the messages that we've received from others in the academy. I hope I didn't go on too
No.
long
That's
with
that.
As a parent, you understand what that
I'm
feels
with you
like to be in that
100%, man.
conversation.
Like my kids are, not, well, they're 9.5, 6.5. So, we have a journey with them, and I they're much younger than yours, but I think of those issues no less than
It's
you
coming,
do.
brother. And it's here already.
Partly because of my own experience, as an immigrant, as somebody of African descent, we'd be here all day if I had, we had to start trading stories,
It's
right?
uncouth.
Just back a little bit to your, leaning into how you communicate.
Yeah.
Right. And this, I will confess, it's something I struggle with too a little bit maybe not a little bit actually, in that I want people, when they hear the message, to be moved by it, to drop their defenses and lean into the spirit and the soul of what is being conveyed in the space, and understanding that in that conveyance, I'm bringing both the soul but also a tangible, scholarly, intellectual product, right? Yeah. And there is always a little bit of a fear that, I'll be inspired by you. I'm going to tell you this that I haven't shared with much people. That I was given a talk once, and it was one of those where like you talk and then there's another keynote like right after you. So you each do like 25 minutes or something. Gotcha. And the person who came right after me, a white guy, he opened by saying, Brian is here to give you the entertainment. I'm here to give you data. And I'm sitting there like, and those are the things where you have to kind of sit. And I tell people, and I think unless you experience it, you don't understand what this is like, where you have about 10 seconds to decide.
You gotta do it now.
How you gonna you're gonna act the fool, right? You're gonna put on your I don't think that's an appropriate, like you have to sort of figure it out. And I'm partly saying this for people who maybe look at yourself, look at us, and I'll be the first to say I come with a ton of privilege. I've had a good career. Yes, I'm very grateful. Yeah. But let's not act like it's 100. Let's not act like all this stuff is in the past. Let's not act that people don't just walk around with stuff that's said. And so
Scared
that
of you.
that energy that you take trying to navigate your desire to lean into your communication language, but also the fear of how that will be received, is energy that could be put to something else, right? Like how much more beauty could we be experiencing if we're not having to make these decisions?
Yeah, yeah. It's a real deal. And it's not minor.
I remember, the ASCNU talk. Well, I know you've given several talks, but the one where we were on the panel together, and you had incorporated a Negro spiritual.
Yeah.
Into, remind me which one it was.
That was Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Okay. I thought it was
Weldon
that one.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember. Okay, yes, and I should have remembered that because what I remember. I believe you sang the first verse.
Sure.
So is this a
Lift
three
every
verse?
voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Yeah.
Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling
Hey man, we can start. So
sea.
we can start.
I'm not as good as you, man. I'm just trying
that's
to think
all
of
love, brother.
well, you know what I was thinking
Yeah.
of? I remember, I think it was Taylor
It
Branches.
was a little scary to do that, man, at that conference.
I know, I felt it. I felt it.
I'm like, I'm doing it anyway.
Well, okay, let me make you feel better.
All right.
After listening to you, I was invited to do a talk out in the West Coast, and we kind of went back and forth on what they wanted, and I told them, look, I want to do talk about my personal journey. That was their request, but I want to do it in a way that it's more of a storytelling, and I began it by singing a Negro spiritual. Why am I blanking? Oh, hold on.
Yeah, just a little while longer.
No, not that one. This is Mary, Mary, done lost your track.
Yeah.
There's some things winning and you're holding back. Keep your head on the trot and hold on. That
Nice.
Yep, beautiful.
Yeah,
And
it's a beautiful one.
anyway, I just wanted to say, like, you inspired.
Come on, man.
But here's the
you
thing.
honor me with that, man.
Back to
Jeez.
Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people don't know the third verse.
God of our weary
and the
years.
third verse,
God of our silent tears.
is for me, and this is as an immigrant, right? So I learned this song. I'll be honest, I learned this song when I got to Morehouse.
Yes, right.
That was a song that it communicated.
So far along the way, I was by thy might, let us into the light.
Actually, let me back up. No. I'm going to interrupt myself. That is the third verse. It's the second verse.
Stony the road we
Stony
trod.
the road we
Bitter
trod.
the chastening rod.
So to me,
Felt
that
in the
was the
day.
verse.
All right.
That was the verse that really sort of juxtaposed like what we really coming from. Right? Like why we need to be lifting
Man,
every
this is
voice.
good today, brher.
Right? This is what,
you're
like, to
nourishing
me, that
man.
was the, and I'm hearing this as a Morehouse student, and when you talk about bitter the chastening rod, I mean that's an understatement, right? And to really kind of unpack, what that stony road looks like, but
Felt
also
in the days when hope unborn had died. Woo! Right?
with weary feet, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess my takeaway when I think back on that stanza is still trotting that road.
Trotting that road.
And knowing how to recognize those stones, what to do with that.
Woo!
In a
Trotting that road.
in a progressive way.
Recognizing
Tim,
what to do with them stones. Yeah.
This is what the LLC
That's going to haunt me all week, man.
I hope it haunts you for life.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, not in a way, in reality, this is what I feel the LLC is doing. It is treading the road.
Come on, man.
It is showing students what it means to tread the road, not to see the road as it's being a terrible world.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Part of being a democracy.
Come on, man.
Is identifying
That's
the
right.
stones. Part of
And
being
what to do with them.
Right. Part of know what to do with them and how to.
Man, you
help
don't need me on this
inspire-
podcast, man.
I invited you for a reason.
That's beautiful, man.
All right, Tim. Let me let
Yes,
you out
sir.
of here with this one. What would you say? What do you think? Like sort of the kind of next big steps for your program? I know it's a big question. You have a ton of stuff going on, but you sort of look out there in the higher ed landscape. You know what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
You know what the narrative is. You know what politically how we, what's been said about what we're actually doing. We know that's not what we're doing, but what do you see? What is the next step for us and for your project?
Yeah. Well, you and I have talked about it, and I'm delighted that we're conspiring to, think creatively about what it means to build the evidentiary base, right? And so we've got a gang of outcomes, and we don't have the research enterprise yet in motion that is needed. So in my mind, in order to create the kind of model that's portable, that people can use, we need to have those outcomes. And one of the things I loved about the conversation that you and I had is that it's not just about the numbers outcomes, the variance explaining that makes my socks roll up and down, but it's about going into the C. Wright Mills space. Remember, C. Wright Mills reminds us in the sociological imagination that, if we just keep sort of doing the stuff that was done, and we're not thinking about how new approaches need new methodologies, then all we are just sort of widget makers, technicians. No. To me, I'll go back to my ASC and UGEPA. To me, that's shrinking imagination. How do we be expansive about understanding the ways of manifesting the outcomes, the research, right, that will really give testament to what's happening?
Right.
And a lot of it is nuanced, and a lot of it needs a whole range of different ways of thinking about how to conduct research. And so research is important. We always need resources.
Right.
And we're blessed, man. The Prudential Foundation gave us an endowment of $10 million
Nice.
to support Newark students. And so we have the Prudential Scholars. We got now about $3 million from the Mellon Foundation, Andrew Mellon Foundation, for a pathway in the humanities. How do we get more graduate students? And we even have, science students that are, curious about the humanities and trying to figure out. So we get them
They're
to
not just doing a gen ed credit. Just get it out of the way.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's.
But I'm committed to as my next steps to getting that research enterprise tight and continuing the work of raising the resources so that we can scale up and invite more young people to experience what we think is a pathway to a prophetic imagining about what is possible in their experiences.
It was a pleasure imagining
Brother.
with you, brother.
Ah,
Thanks for
Shay.
joining me.
Imagining and singing, man.
Oh, well, all right.
Man,
we'll take
listen,
that.
we had to. Yeah, man.
We'll turn this into a recording studio.
You
one
know?
day.
Oh man, thank you, brother. Man, I do not accept invitations without asking myself, and this is my faith practice. What is supposed to happen here? Do you know what I mean? What am I supposed to receive, and what am I supposed to give? And I feel like that happened here, brother. I
Right.
forgot for a minute that there were mics in front of us.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to tell a story with people. I wanted to tell a story with you. And as we know, we're both Creole informed, right? Sometimes that story needs the energy to be pulled
Ashe.
out of each other.
Ashe.
And I think we did that, so thank you.
Means a lot, man. Still waiting on that link on that sock game, though.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Need you to pull me up. Hell is raining down. I need you to come around.
Knowledge Unbound is brought to you by the Rios Institute for racially just, inclusive, open STEM education. We are generously funded by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Special thanks to my always eternal producer, Mr. Segev Amasai, Computer Engineering, Class of 2025. Thank you to Dr. Tim Eatman, Dean of the Honors Living Learning Community at Rutgers University, Newark, New Jersey. Thanks for sharing his story. Thanks to you, my listeners, for tuning in every week. Feel free to subscribe to our Spotify channel. We are also on iHeartRadio, or you can find us on our website at knowledgeunbound.transistor.fm. I am so moved by my conversation with Dr. Eatman. I hope you enjoyed the ways in which we shared our griot together, how we told our stories, and maybe more importantly, that the bigger point is education and the way it can move people and change things is something that doesn't have to be relegated to a classroom or a course or a campus. It is with us every day. And that is the mindset that we hope can help us rethink the relationship between an equity-based education and a thriving democracy. I hope you thrive this week, and I hope to see you next week. As always, be excellent to each other.
If I'm not mistaken, you're trying to work the angles on me.
The idea of the honors living learning community is that if we want a strong democracy, then we need to use some of the most compelling tools and mechanisms in our box to underscore the importance of the kind of society we need.
It cuts so deep.
Is honors really honors as we have defined it? Well, we're trying to revolutionize honors. We're trying to cultivate talent. And we're trying to engage communities. And so in that process, we're saying, what will it take for us to reimagine something like honors?